Good morning, USA, and welcome to another episode of the Bernie or Bust Show. Quid pro quo Pete. Quid pro quo is a Latin phrase used in English to mean an exchange of goods or services in which one transfer is contingent upon the other. A favor for a favor. Phrases with similar meanings include give and take, tit for tat, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, and one hand washes the other. Other languages use other phrases for the same purpose. Go along to get along. Quid pro quo Pete.
Axios is devastating for the Buttigieg campaign. A major bundler for Buttigieg used language that flirted with illegality in terms of campaign finance as he begged for big money donations and emails sent to prospective big money donors. And one of those prospective donors blew the whistle, and now we have this report. And in typical fashion, the Buttigieg campaign's response is indignant, trying to distance themselves from the bundler, but this is indicative of the attitudes of many of these corporate Democratic campaigns. The problem is that this bundler said the quiet part loud. In a recent email exchange with a wealthy prospective donor, a top fundraiser for Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg made an offer that was unusually blunt, even by modern pay-to-play standards. If you want to get on the campaign's radar now, before he is flooded with donations after winning Iowa and New Hampshire, sure, you can use the link below for donations.
I don't know. You look at Steyer, whatever his name is, and he comes in there and with a few $1 million in ad buys, he's up in the polls. That's just what's going on with Mayor Pete here. He could buy Iowa and New Hampshire. That's all he has to do. He just has to keep Bernie from winning either or both of those, and his job is done. He'll get whatever quid pro quos were promised to him for doing that. And then the elites trust Elizabeth Warren after that to keep hindering Bernie, keep stealing votes from Bernie as long as possible. So it's up to us to figure out what's going on here. If you want to get on the campaign's radar now before he is flooded with donations after winning Iowa and New Hampshire. So he, even though he's promising to give them good treatment after he's elected president, there's no way in hell he's going to be elected president, and he knows it. So his quid pro quos here are empty promises. You big bundlers, you big donors to Mayor Pete, you should probably know that you're not going to buy any influence from him. Although he's young, who knows what he'll end up doing later in life. But what you're really trying to do, if you're donating to Mayor Pete, is you're trying to keep Bernie from winning Iowa and New Hampshire. Maybe you're cool with that, but at least we should all be clear about what's going on.
The fundraiser HK Park wrote in an email to the donor, which was reviewed by Axios. Love the assumption there that Buttigieg is just going to blow through Iowa and New Hampshire. But I unironically do love the framing there from Axios. I mean, unusually blunt even by modern pay-to-play standards. Like, it's just being upfront about how the standard is currently pay-to-play, and you don't usually get that admission from a major mainstream media outlet. But this one from bundler HK Park, who has apparently raised tens of thousands of dollars for Buttigieg, he just admitted the open secret. It's very telling and concerning that one of the campaign's major bundlers would talk like that, said the donor, who had asked not to be named. What would this suggest about the way he's going to interact with Silicon Valley if the implication is pay for play? If that's the way he's operating, the donor added, it's in the public interest for people to know what's being said. That prospective donor is an American hero. I love that. Yeah. Whistleblowing on the Buttigieg campaign. I couldn't love it more. And then Axios did interview a campaign finance expert in the piece who was like, yeah, it's pretty bad, pretty pay to play. The Buttigieg campaign, of course, vehemently denied all wrongdoing. A Buttigieg campaign spokesperson responded, "The campaign did not see or authorize the language in this email, but it is ridiculous to interpret it as anything more than asking potential supporters who may be interested in Pete to join our campaign before caucusing and voting begins." So, ridiculous, as in don't believe your lying eyes or ears. And even if this didn't come directly from the Buttigieg campaign, it indicates that these are the tactics that are encouraged by the fundraising arm of the Buttigieg campaign. That's what we knew. We knew it with the wine caves. We knew it with the billionaire fundraisers in New York City. The fact that he was extremely resistant to opening them up to the press for...
Let's not forget that he met with the DNC machinery before things got going for his campaign with known Stop Sanders people. He's been very cozy with the Stop Sanders movement from the very beginning.
Weeks and weeks and weeks, and was pressed on it.
Yes. All right, so this is the picture I put together here. Quid pro quo Pete. I just put a nice little, it's kind of cool how it matches his eyeball there. Anyway, now let's go to our favorite snarky person. I just love Kathy Copeland Padden. And this article is from May 1st, and I've mentioned it before, but this is what I want to say to anyone who could support Mayor Pete or Elizabeth Warren with the idea that, well, if they win the nomination, if they are given the nomination by the machinery, then we've got to vote for them because, Donald Trump. Yeah, preemptive surrender. I love Bernie, but I'll vote for the eventual Democrat nominee no matter how hard they suck. So she's aiming this at Bernie supporters who might eventually vote for Mayor Pete or Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren if they become the nominee. And so this applies to anyone who could ever, for any reason, vote for a corporate sock puppet Democrat. Ugh, I can't even with this. I know I say that a lot, but this mindset truly angers me. It's unforgivable ignorance and cowardice wrapped up in one neat little self-absorbed package. That's a pretty good opening salvo. All right, so we all are friends on Facebook with some vote blue no matter who people, or who will say, well, if it's Biden, then I will, or if it's Warren. I've got quite a few friends who say, well, I wouldn't vote for Biden. I don't know, I'd stay home maybe, or I don't know what I'd do. But I absolutely, if it's Warren, yes, I would vote for Warren over Trump. Are you kidding me? Of course I'd vote for Warren over Trump. I've been hearing that more than I care to, because what we can see if we really dig down under the surface, looking at Elizabeth Warren's daughter and looking at her billionaire donors and her connections to Hollywood, what we can see is that she's probably worse when it comes right down to getting anything done, actually done, than Joe Biden. So we know what Joe Biden is, and we know we don't want him, but if it comes down to it, I don't like to say, I told you so, but I will tell you, I told you so. I'm telling you so now, and I want you to remember. If you can't see why proclaiming you'll vote blue no matter who is waving the white flag of surrender even before the battle is fought, you have no business going within 100 miles of a voting booth. This dim-witted philosophy is directly responsible for the piss-poor governance we find ourselves with today. Decades of lesser evilism voting has shown the establishment you'll meekly accept whatever garbage candidates they throw at you. Garbage candidates, look down here. There he is, garbage candidates. This behavior is not noble, it's partisanship rooted in privilege. Plain and simple. How many of you have been told that if you're Bernie or bust, it's because you're privileged, because you can afford another 4 years of Donald Trump? You're not looking at the last 60 or 70 years of carnage from neoliberalism, and you haven't been watching this show. So go back and watch all the episodes. This behavior is not noble. It's partisanship rooted in privilege, plain and simple. It's selfish and contemptible and tells us everything we need to know about you as a human being. There you go. Don't vote for Elizabeth. Don't vote for Pete. Don't vote for Joe. Maybe you can afford to eschew Medicare for all, a livable minimum wage, and protecting Social Security, but the bulk of your fellow citizens do not have that luxury. People in the wealthiest nation in the world are dying every damn day at the hands of runaway capitalism. This is not opinion, it's a cold, hard fact. Your loyalty to a corrupt system over their lives makes you a reprehensible asshole, not the patriot you try to paint yourself as. Okay, Kathy, tell us how you really feel. Come on! Do you really believe vowing to support whatever establishment empty suit the DNC thrusts on you will in any way improve the lives of average Americans? All you are doing is driving the point home that you are malleable, unthinking drones who will do exactly what you're told. Another corporate neolib? Sure. There's the white flag of surrender. When push comes to shove, you'll fold like a house of cards and do the bidding of the oligarchy like good little serfs. I would say good little cronies. They scratch your back, you scratch their backs. The comfortable Democrats haven't suffered that much under Reagan, under Clinton, under Bush, under Carter, under Obama. You haven't suffered that much, so you don't see the point. There's no solidarity with actual poor people, with people living paycheck to paycheck, with people who can't afford to buy their insulin and then die as a result. You have no the union way of thinking. You have no solidarity with people who are actually suffering. You're okay. Your kids are going to fairly good schools, although they could be better. But your kids are okay. Your family's okay. So let's just keep the oligarchy going. Let's just keep the neolib machine going. You are not a progressive. This is not progressive behavior. If your political philosophy includes no questions asked party loyalty, do not call yourself a progressive. You are an unethical establishment enabler. We're talking codependency. The Democratic Party has no incentive to take the candidacy of progressives like Sanders and Gabbard seriously, no matter how loud the people clamor for them. Why would they? You have assured the DNC that in the end, you'll just obediently fall in line. How do they know this? You're posting it proudly on social media every fucking day like it makes you some sort of pragmatic patriot. No, it makes you an insufferable idiot. Learn the difference. You are not helping anyone or anything by openly conceding the race before it's been run. All you are doing is protecting and perpetuating the system that is screwing us in the first place. Not smart or even sane behavior at this critical juncture in our history. But Trump! And before you spout the Bernie will vote blue no matter who nonsense, remember this. Like every other candidate running on the Democratic ticket, Sanders was obligated to agree in writing to support the eventual nominee. I'm not bound by these constrictions. Neither are you. Bernie will do what Bernie has to do, as will I, as should you. Look beyond this single election. See beyond yourself and your luck of the draw privilege that allows you to dare to be stupid every 2 to 4 years. The only difference between you and that homeless person you pretend not to see is chance. And not only the homeless person you pretend not to see, but the kids in inner city Baltimore or inner city Philadelphia who go to shit schools. And I teach them at Millersville. I teach the kids who go to these schools and they look around at their fellow students at Millersville and they say, whoa, we didn't all start this race from the same starting line, did we? No, we didn't. And that's the end result of voting for the lesser evil. The only difference between you and that homeless person, between your family and the family whose kids have to go to awful schools, is chance. Be humbled by your good fortune. It's not yours by virtue of hard work, and if it is, odds are it's someone else's hard work you're benefiting from. Most of you don't pick your own vegetables. You've been lucky, but you're not exalted. You are no more worthy than the next person, no matter their circumstances. Embrace your blessings humbly and share them with others. Have conviction. Show courage. Don't hand our children's future and our planet's survival to these sociopaths on the proverbial silver platter, because that's precisely what you're doing, whether you're willing to face it or not. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Be brave enough to hold your ground. Have the guts to stand by your convictions, no matter who challenges them. If you don't, history and your descendants, if any manage to survive, will judge you with well-deserved scorn and contempt. P.S. Feel free to address any criticism or justifications for your derpy dipshittery to that brick wall way over yonder. I'm not fluent in fuckwit, and they don't have a Rosetta Stone course for it. All right then, put that in your pipe and smoke it. And feel free to share it with other people who have pipes or no pipes, because we need to start smoking better shit. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Go get on board.